It's who I am. Get used to it. Fear the assassin with no master. Try to keep up. Quick and deadly. Feel me now? Oh, you're gonna bleed. Let's have some fun.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Akali today. AP Assassin, very difficult to pick up and also very difficult to master. Akali's passive, whenever you damage enemy champions with abilities, then this ring will form around them, and if you walk to the edge of the ring guys, then the next auto attack is going to become empowered. So you get more auto attack range, and then your next auto attack also deals more damage. Your Q, the kunai, is going to deal damage in a cone in front of you, and if you hit people at the maximum range, then it's also going to slow them for a bit. Now this ability does cost a lot of energy in the early game, so it is not something you want to be spamming. But it's also what makes Akali obnoxious against those melee champs, because you can use that Q, then pick up the passive and then get some extra damage off through your auto attacks. Do not use it for wave clearing early game. If you're struggling farming against a range matchup for example, then you can use it to last hit, but really make sure that you hit the enemy champion with it. Try to poke them when they walk up to last hit. Your E has two parts to it. First part is going to make you dash backwards, and then it will also mark a target, and then once you recast it, you're going to dash to them and then deal damage. The second part of the C guys, the one where you dash to them and deal damage, the damage you deal there is absolutely insane. It will have so much burst damage in the later stages. So when you get to like the mid game and onwards, you really want to make sure that you hit people with that second part of that E, because a lot of your burst damage is in this ability. W is the shroud that Akali is also known for. When you step inside it, then you're going to become invisible. Control wards and such will not help, they will not reveal you, and it also gives you some energy. When fighting, of course, it's very important to make use of this shroud because of that invisibility, but also because it gives you all that energy back, so it makes it possible to go for more extended combos. Make sure that you pick up those empowered auto attacks, from that circle that appears every single time you hit an enemy champion with an ability, because in the early game it's especially important, because that's really what gives you that damage in those sustained fights. So instead of getting that cloth armor guys, since we had to base pretty early on, we're gonna get a dark seal, and then we also get a refillable potion that gives us a pretty good early game, also a bit of extra tankiness, especially into those assassin matchups like the set who has so much burst damage. That HP really helps out a lot. So normally Akali is a champ that starts looking for kills at level 6. Into melee matchups you might be able to look for kills early on if you do have Ignite. You can also go teleport onto her guys. But Ignite gives you that extra bit of kill pressure, especially in those skill matchups like the set. The trading Akali, you want to go in and out of fights. Unless you're going for all in, you want to go in and out so you can constantly pick up those empowered auto attacks. Use that E to dodge abilities. You can also mark your shroud with the E guys, so like you dash to it. You can also do that if you want to go for extended trades or just to poke people. Constantly poke the enemy champ with Qs, but make sure that every single time you hit a Q, you also pick up their passive empowered auto attack. Just zone them away from the minions, make sure you're not taking a lot of poke damage in return. We do have a lot of sustain with the Doran shield, that's what you want to start with most of the time, because it gives you a very safe laning phase, because a super early game can be pretty weak if you're against a range matchup. And also because her Q costs so much energy in the early game that if you miss it twice, then you don't have any damage anymore, because you don't have energy to use anything else. Always remember that your Shroud does give you that extra energy back. So always use it in a fight, especially when you know that the enemy champion has something they can all in you with. For example, Zed's ultimate, you can really use that to kite him around, make sure he doesn't hit you. Like this, your ultimate, guys. First part of it is a dash towards the enemy champ, and then the second part of it is a execution ability, also dealing AoE damage, and it deals damage based on missing health. So you want to use that at the very end of the combo. You know, after you hit everything else, they're low HP, then use that second part of your ultimate to finish them off with. Like I did right here, and she has some pretty cool combos as well, so that's a lot you have to learn on this champ if you decide to pick her up. Got the Seeker's Arm Guard, because we're playing against an AD assassin mid. If you get hit by a full combo from Zed, then you're going to get one shot, and that's why the Seeker's Arm Guard comes in. Really denies a lot of his damage, and then it also helps against the top laner and AD carry as well. So get this item if you're playing against an AD assassin mid, or maybe an AD carry mid as well, like the Akshan. Just gonna keep the wave here, try to poke as much as possible. You can also use that E to like gap close to the enemy champ, but be careful, then you're kinda using the only real movement ability you have without the ultimate. Later on, as you max out the Q, you know, as you put punch into it, it is going to cost less energy, and then you can use it more often. So it's in the early game where you have to be extremely careful, because if you miss it a couple times, then you don't have any energy left, and then the enemy champion can easily trade with you. That ultimate, when you're all in, guys, you can like use the first part of your ultimate with the first part of your E. So you dash, and then you also mark them. And then you can combine the second part of your E, where you dash towards them, with the last part of your ultimate, with the execution. If you combine it like that, then it is very, very difficult to escape the combo. And you can see you do have a lot of mobility as soon as that ultimate is ready to go. Very hard to escape, even if they flash away. So you do have a lot of chasing potential, a lot of burst damage as well. Your E does get body blocked though, so if they hide behind minions, then it is very difficult to hit them. So that's why you can combine it with the ultimate. That's what a lot of Akali players do, is that they use the first part of the ultimate and then they immediately press C, because then you're already close range, and then you can get a pretty free hit with that E to mark them, and then you can follow up with the rest of your damage. Also, the way that E works, guys, when you mark champs, even if they teleport while they're marked, then you can follow them all the way. So if they like teleport bot lane and then you recast your E, you're gonna follow all the way up. So it's kinda can be used to counter TPs as well. But be careful that you don't use it when they're basing, because if they do base and you recast that E, you're going to follow them all the way into their base, and then you'll get executed. This champ is very good at kiting, but there are some champs that can counter her, like the Veigar. Laning phase is pretty easy, but when he drops down the cage in the later stages, then you're not able to move out, because all of your mobility comes from dashes. You don't have any blinks whatsoever, so if you get caught inside his cage, you will not be able to get out. The only way you can be revealed inside that W Shroud is if you attack, or if they have some kind of ability that will give them true vision, true sight. That could, for example, be Kate's ultimate if she attacks you before you go invisible, or Twisted Fate's ultimate that also gives them true sight. If they use those abilities, then you will be revealed for the entire enemy team to see. But you kind of want to like get in and out with Akali for a couple short trades, and then when they're low HP, that's when you go all in with the ultimate. Make sure that your W is always up when you go for those trades, because that's what gives you that advantage in those fights. This game I'm going for a anti-tank build with the Riftmaker. If you're playing against a squishy team, then you can go for the rocket build for some more early game magic pen. That gives you like the highest burst damage. But if you want to deal with champs like the Yorick, the Amumu, the Alistar, then you need the Riftmaker. Really make sure that you poke people a lot. Since you have the maximum amount of points into a queue, it doesn't cost that much energy anymore, so you can afford to like use it more often. Really make sure that every single fight you always pick up that passive, that circle. Make sure you get those empowered auto attacks off, because a lot of the damage is in that passive as well. So if you don't make use of it, you're going to deal a lot more less damage, and then the target might end up escaping. Your wave clear is of course also a lot better. Make sure that when you push, then you hit the entire minion wave with your Q. Sometimes they might be too far away, but try to hit as many minions as possible. Then that should be enough to push out the waves. We have Rift Herald coming in here. That is going to take down the tower. For the first tower in the game, giving us that extra bonus gold. Now the mid lane is open, and this is pretty much the mid game that started right now. As soon as the first tower goes down, now your objective, normally you want to go to the side lane, because you're an assassin, you have really good chase potential, and if you go to the side lane, meaning that it's going to be an extended lane, then it's harder for the target to escape as well. But if your AD carry doesn't want to, then of course you can't do much, then you just have to stay mid until they decide to rotate as well. Now at this point guys, remember the second part of your E, there's so much damage in this ability. Really make sure that you hit this, because it can end up one-shotting people later on in the game, especially if it's an AD carrier. You see, this route is so good for kiting. It's so hard to do stuff to you, and because of the Thresh Lantern we also managed to get out. So we did not have to blow the ultimate. Really clean hook by the support. And of course, even if she flashes away, you have the second part of your ultimate. So this champ is really good at making sure that people don't escape. Even if they have some kind of mobility up, she's still able to chase down people. Make sure that you also farm up well. Akali is not a champ where you get high CS numbers on, because it's a champ that prioritizes getting kills, like the Katarina. She does not have very good wave clear, because her main damaging ability is also wave clear. So if you use it to push out waves, then the opponent can trade back and such. So it's a champ that looks for kills more than having high CS numbers. It's like very normal for Akali players to sit between like 6 and 7 CS per minute. But as long as you make sure to pick up those kills, then you should be good to go. So going to the side lane now, this is why you want to be in the mid game. Make sure that you're still picking all of that XP and gold for yourself. Keep pushing the side lanes, take down the remaining towers as well. Next item is of course the Sonya's Hourglass. That gives you that extra safety as well, especially into those burst champs, AD assassins and such. That gives you that extra safety. Also allows you to dodge abilities after you use everything and you don't have anything else to get out with. Pop that active Sonya's Hourglass. You can buy yourself some time for your abilities to come back up, and then you can re-engage or disengage. We are pushing in the bottom side while they're fighting top side. Unfortunately, they did die, but that happens all the time in solo queue. You can't really trust your teammates, but make sure that you're still getting something out of it. In this case, I got a lot of waves and I also got a tower, so we got something back. Make sure to push out this wave, otherwise it is going to slow push into the enemy tower, enemy lane, meaning that if somebody comes, they're going to get a lot of farm. So I want to make sure these waves are crashing into the tower so they're not able to freeze it. And you can also use that first part of your E to dash over walls with. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier on. Probably not, but you can also use it to get over walls with. Maybe if you want to escape or if you want to chase people, then you can of course do that as well. You have ridiculous burst damage at this stage of the game. Akali is a mid-game champ, but she also has a lot of burst damage in the late game. Problem is that it's harder to find assassinations when people start grouping up. That means that the mid game, that's where you want to start looking for these kills. That's why you start to look for those assassinations. Get those kills in the mid game, turn that into free objectives, and then try to end the game from there. Because if it gets to late game, even though you have a lot of damage, it's going to be very difficult ending the game, especially when the AD carries are scaled up as well, meaning that if you misplay, they're gonna absolutely delete you. So we are getting the dragons, as we should, because we have the lead in this game. Now I'm going for the Rabadon's death cap, because they don't really have that much MR. Even if the tanks are building magic resistance, we don't really care about them. Our goal as an assassin is to go for the squishy target, so in this case that would be the AD carry, and the mid lane as well. As long as they are not building any MR at this stage, we do not need to buy the Void Staff. We just need enough damage to be able to one-shot them in a single combo. Because if we can do that, then the job is done. We did what we had to do. And then our teammates should be able to clean up. And if you notice right here, the second part of the E damage, that's why the damage really comes in. It has ridiculous AP scaling and also really high base damage. Just need to get out. If something fails, you can also use that ultimate to escape with. That's like the second escape you have besides your E. But as you can see, when that Rift Maker starts activating, that's why those tanks really starts getting shred to pieces. So that's why this item is so good against tanks. But if you're playing against a squishy team, then make sure that you're getting the rocket build. And then you can also go for items like the Shadow Flame, if they have some kind of shielding, because then it gives you that early game magic pen immediately, so you get a lot of burst damage. Luckily we did manage to click on that lantern because they tried to body block it, but they did not place a control ward, so we got out. That's a heavy playmaking champ. You can go for a lot of stuff, as long as you master her, because she has so many different mechanics. And the all-in combos and such are also pretty difficult to pull off, so it's definitely going to take a lot of games. So going for the Rabadon's death cap, but at this point, if a lot of people are stacking MR, then you can go for the Void Staff. You can also go for the Shadow Flame at this point. If they have a squishy team, but they also have a lot of shielding, you know, like a Janna, like a Lulu or something, if they have champs like that, and they're also squishy team, then you can go for the Shadow Flame, because then you have a lot of magic pen for the early game, and then you also have a lot of AP as well. Be careful that you don't engage when your energy is low. Of course you still have the W to give you back some energy, but you don't want to engage when your energy is low, because then you can't really do stuff. You're just going to end up giving the target time to play around you to escape or something. so make sure that your energy is always like mid to high. We do have the Teemo top lane, absolutely shredding the Yorick. We tried to steal the kill, or thought about it, but that'll be kind of sad because he really tried harder for that kill. And we're also sitting on a lot. Normally, when you have an assassin on the team, you want to give the kills to them because they snowball the hardest. But since we're already sitting on a lot of kills, there's really no point in us like taking everything else. It would still be nice to get their Rabadons faster, but it is what it is. We constantly want to invade the jungle, that's why we have the red sweeper, so you can clear out vision, and then if somebody face checks, we're just gonna one-shot them. Your ultimate is used as a guarantee that you're going to get the kill, but if you know that the AD carry, for example, does not have any mobility up, then you don't have to use the ultimate, because your basic abilities are going to deal with the AD carries anyways. If you have really fast reaction time, you can pull off stuff like this, guys. And you can do it even better. Maybe you're even able to turn it around, but there's so much stuff you can learn on this champ. So it's important that you learn the basic stuff first, and then you go into those advanced combos. She has so high playmaking potential, so you can really do a lot of stuff as long as you master this champ. So I did not go for the Mages this game, even though I have a fully stacked Dark Seal, and that is because I expected to die more this game, so I did not go for it, because Akali is pretty high risk, high reward champ. Whenever you're fighting people, you are always in melee range, so people will also be able to trade back, so it can be pretty risky to get that meta soul stealer. You're going to snowball harder, but you will also be punished harder if you die. Like taking away jungle camps, of course you can do that, but it is a bit delayed on the Akali. She's a bit slower at taking down the camps compared to other champs, especially compared to mages like the Victor, who can take them down almost instantly. For Akali it is going to be a bit delayed, so that's why sometimes even if there are jungle camps nearby, I don't take them, just because of how long it's going to take to finish them off. So Yorick does have MR items, and Mumu as well, so at this point we are definitely going to build into the Void Staff. And then the last item, guys, you have so many options. Demonic Embrace is even better into these tank compositions. This game they're pretty tanky. They have the Yorick top, they have the Amumu jungle, and the L-Star in the support role as well. So it's a pretty tanky team composition. In that case, the Demonic Embrace will be a really good item, because when you combine it with the Riftmaker, you're gonna absolutely shred those tanky targets. It's like the point in the game where teamfights start. We're in a teamfight right now, and the way you play, guys, you want to be flanking. You know, you have that assassin playstyle where you wait in the sides, and then you wait for the AD carry to pop out. You make sure that there's no vision on you. When they pop out, when they start damaging people, that's when you go in, take down the AD carry or any squishy target. As long as you manage to do that, then your own AD carry should be able to clean up the fight. Just try to be as annoying as possible, really take down those AD carries, they will be the main target for you guys. If you can do that, then you're going to win the team fight. The main goal, always the carries. If there are no carries that you can take out, then go for all the squishy targets, you know, like the Janna support, the Lulu support and so on. After that, you can go for the bruisers. Always aim for the squishy targets first, the targets with the highest threat against your team. If they have a late game champ like a Victor or a Seer, you want to take down him first. Because those mages are not able to deal with you in melee range. They want to damage you from a distance, but since you can gap close so easily, they will have a very hard time dealing with you. We have a massive power spike. That E, guys, is going to deal like 1k damage or something. That's absolutely insane. Not the first part, but the last part of it when you recast it. Really make sure that you mark the AD carry or the other target with it, guys, and then you can really see that damage coming in. Also, you can also use that W to reset aggro, you know, the minions and such, but that W does not work under the towers. It did work on the towers when she was first reworked, but that was so broken that of course they nerfed it. So you can still get targeted on the tower. But this is how you play Akali. I hope this was helpful. As always, see you guys in the next one.